Okay guys, so we're going to be kind of working still on word problems with system of equations, and this will be the second one that we talked about, and that's going to be coin and value problems. So sometimes you're going to be given like a pocket full of change. Those would be coin problems. Then you're going to be buying things, whether it's, in our case, pizza or tickets to some sort of concert. Those would be the value kind of problems. And we're going to be using system of equations. Okay, so basically everything we're going to do is going to be modeled after this idea. If I buy how many things at what price, what's the total cost? So that's going to be kind of the formula we're going to use. And so we're going to have quantity, so how much, times cost of one. So let's say this is about tickets or pizza, and that's going to equal total cost. Okay, and the variation would be for coins, quantity times value of one equals total value. So it's just words. The process is the same. So again, this would be for coins, and this would be other items. So things like food items, tickets, and so on, clothing, so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to write down and again, I like to use a chart to organize my data, so I will solve one without a chart. So use a chart to organize data and define unknowns, because we got to define always. And we covered that in 6th grade, so it's nothing new I've come up with. All right, I'm going to go ahead and write the first problem. Okay, so here's our problem. David has some nickels, dimes, and quarters worth $4.50. He has 3 times as many nickels than dimes and 4 more quarters than dimes. How many of each kind of coin does he have? So take a moment, pause, and go ahead and write this down. And we're going to go ahead and create a table out of this. So vertically go the items, which are nickels, dimes, and quarters. So I do have kind of a pet peeve about nickels. For whatever reason, kids want to spell it like pickles, L-E. Please don't do that. That annoys me, especially when it's written there. Now I'm going to add the word total, because that's going to come into play. And we're going to talk about quantity. And because these are coins, we're going to say value of one, because they don't cost. That sounds weird. And then total value. So it's just words. So I'm just going to use N to be the number of nickels, D for the dimes, Q for the quarters. I know their values. A nickel is worth 5 cents, a dime is worth 10 cents, and a quarter is worth 25 cents. They tell me that the money, all those coins together, are $4.50. That's my total. They do not tell me how many coins I have altogether, so I have nothing for the first column, nor do I come up with a weird new coin that is going to be some sort of mixture of those values. Then I'm just going to go ahead and multiply straight across. And that gives me 0.05 for the value of the nickels, 0.10D for the value of the dimes, and 0.25 for the value, or 25D for the value of the quarters. So we're going to create 2 equations, maybe more. Now, we have 3 unknowns, so we should have 3 equations. But we could, if we only have 2 equations, we can get our 2 equations down to 2 variables, and then we have a system. All right, so let's see what we get on this one. So we're going to start with value. So value is going to be that last column. And if you remember from chapter 2, we're going to add the individual values and set it equal to the total value. So we have 0.05n plus 0.10d plus 0.25q equals 4.50. And then we don't like to have decimals, so we're going to multiply everything by 100 because it's going to take 100 to move the decimal over 2 places. So that gives us for value 5n plus 10d plus 25q equals 450. And again, right then, nothing more we can do. So then let's deal with quantity, something that deals with how many coins we have. Okay, so that goes to the second sentence. He has 3 times as many nickels than dimes. So what it's basically saying is to balance out the number of dimes and nickels, I'm going to have to multiply the number of dimes by 3. Okay, and the next part says there's 4 more quarters than dimes. So again, in order to get the quarters to balance out with the dimes, you have to add 4 to the number of dimes. So right now, I have 3 equations, so this should help me solve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, sorry, my elbow is constantly cracking. I'm going to take this guy over here, 5n plus 10d plus 25q equals 450. And I'm going to substitute in 3d for n and d plus 4 in for q. Okay, so that's going to give me 5 times the quantity 3d plus 10d plus 25 times the quantity d plus 4 and that's going to equal to 450. So what I actually did is eliminate all but d. So I can solve this pretty easily. So let's see, that gives me 15d plus 10d plus 25d plus 100 equals 450. So I'm going to subtract 100 from both sides. I'm going to combine up. I've got 25 and 25, so 50d equals 350. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 50, and that gives me d equals 7. So now what I'm going to do with that answer is I'm going to take it back and substitute it into both of these definitions. So that's now going to give me n is equal to 3 times 7, or 21, so I have 21 nickels, and q is going to be equal to 7 plus 4, or 11. So we're going to put those together in a sentence, and we're going to say David has, we'll just go 21 nickels, nickels not pickles, 7 dimes, and 11 quarters. And that's that. Okay, so that was unusual that we eliminate all the variables. All right, let's go to the next problem. And you can go ahead and pause and copy it down. It says Bill ordered some small and some medium pizzas. By the way, if you don't copy the word problem down, then the work you show has no correlation to anything. So that's why you just need to do it. And excuse me, some medium pizzas for a party. The small ones cost $3.75 each, and the medium ones cost $5 each. he bought 3 more medium then small pizzas. The total cost was $32.50. And how many pizzas of each size did he buy? So I'm going to do a table again on this one, or chart. So we've got small pizzas. We've got medium pizzas. And then we have total. We're going to have quantity. Now this is where we're going to hear a change. It's going to be cost for 1, because value doesn't make sense. Not in this case. So then we're going to have total cost. So we're buying something. Okay, so I'm going to use S for small pizzas and M for medium pizzas. Now, just be forewarned, your S could look like a 5, so be very cautious. We were told that the small pizzas were $3.75. Keep your 5 straight at the top, straight on the left. And $5 for the mediums. And then we were told he bought 3 more medium pizzas than small pizzas. And the total cost was $32.50. So for right now, I'm going to ignore that first part of the third sentence. And then I'm going to multiply straight across. So remember again, this is the process. Multiply the quantity times the cost for 1 equals total cost. So we'll multiply here. And we get, 3.75 S, and then 5M. And then when we go to value, we're going to just take the top 2 sum to equal the bottom. So we get 3.75 S plus 5M equals 3250. So again, we don't like working with decimals, so we're going to eliminate them. It does give us bigger numbers, but it's easier to deal with. So 375S plus 500M equals 3,250. Now, quantity, well, we have one statement, and that one statement says he bought 3 more medium than small pizzas. So that means in order to get the medium and small to balance, he would have to add 3 onto the number of medium pizzas. So we do have a system, and what we're going to do is we are going to use substitution. So where I see M, I'm going to substitute in S plus 3. So we've got 375S plus 500 times S plus 3 equals 3,250. We distribute 375S plus 500S plus 1,500 equals 3,250. We're going to subtract 150 from both sides, or 1,500, excuse me, from both sides. We're going to combine up the like terms, and we get 875S equals, let's see, 0, 5, rename, 1750. Oops, we're going to divide both sides by 875, and 875 goes into 1750 exactly twice. So I'm going to take that information, and I am going to substitute it here so that I can get the number of medium pizzas is going to be 5. So I can conclude that Bill ordered let's see, 2 small pizzas and 5 medium pizzas for his party. Why did I put a period there? There we go. Okay. So substitution. Substitution. We did a lot of substitution on the one before. All right, we got one more. I've already written it, so go ahead and pause and copy it down. All right, it says I have 30 coins, all nickels, dimes, and quarters, worth $3.80. If I have 8 more nickels, than dimes, how many quarters do I have? So on this one, I'm going to define my variables. I'm going to do it without a chart. So n is going to be the number of nickels. D is going to be the number of dimes. And Q is going to be the number of quarters. Now I am going to break this into how much and how many. Okay, so let's start with how much, since we've done that before. We're going to deal with quantity. We're going to deal with value, sorry. How much value. Okay, I can do this. So I know that a nickel is 5 cents. And a dime is 10 cents, and a quarter is 25 cents, and that's $3.80. So then I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything by 100. Now here's probably the single most common mistake kids make. They're like, well, I can think of my nickels, dimes, and quarters in terms of cents, so I could just say 5n plus 10d plus 25q equals $3.80, and that's the problem, because you didn't equally increase each by 100, or not by 100, but 100 times, because there's 100 cents in a dollar. So when we do this, we get 5n plus 10d plus 25q equals 380. So then we talk about quantity, and this is kind of weird. Oh, what's weird is I can't spell it today. Let's try it again. Quantity. It says I have 8 more nickels than dimes. So from before, we know that nickels, in order to balance it with dimes, I have to add 8 onto the number of dimes, because I have more nickels, okay? All right, so now I can take this, and I have another one with quantity. It was the very first statement. I have 30 coins in all. So that's the number of nickels plus the number of dimes, plus the number of quarters is equal to 30. Okay, so quantity just deals with coins. Value deals with the money that you get for all those coins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this statement where n is already isolated, and I'm going to substitute it in for n in both equations. Okay, so for value, I've got 5 times d plus 8 times the quantity d plus 8 plus 10d plus 25q equals 380. And when I distribute, I get 5d plus 40 plus 10d plus 25q equals 380. Now I'm going to simplify. And I'm going to get 15d plus 25q equals 340. Now the second one I substitute into, for the n, I'm going to get d plus 8 plus d plus q equals 30. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides, combine up like terms. D and d is 2d plus q equals 22. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of those equations and I'm going to form my system over here. So I've got 15D plus 25Q equals 340. And then we've got 2D plus Q equals 22. Now, remember what the question asked for. It asks for how many quarters. So I know some of you are thinking, what if we isolate the Q and we get 22 take away 2D, and then we substitute it in for Q and solve it out? Well, here's the problem. We've just eliminated the thing we're supposed to solve for. So because I want to keep the Q's, I'm going to get rid of the D's. And we talked about how to do that before. We're going to multiply the top equation by I'm going to multiply by a negative 2 because my coefficients are the same and I need them to be different. And then I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 15. So that's going to get my it's going to get my D's to have the same coefficient, opposite signs. So I get 30D, negative 30D, minus 50Q is equal to negative 680. And then the second equation becomes 30D, positive this time, plus 15Q equals, and I don't know what 22 times 15 is. Let me see, 10, 11, placeholder, 22. So 33. And then what I'm going to do is add those two equations together. So the D's eliminate. I get negative 35Q equals negative 350. So I'm going to divide by negative 35. And I get Q equals a positive 10. And that's the answer I'm looking for. So I'm going to say I have 10 quarters. Now this is the most efficient way to solve the problem. If I did do it the other way and solve for D, I would have to substitute the D value into either original equation and solve. So there we are. All right, good luck with this, guys. Talk to you later.